baby is going off in the background. Let me switch this up. For whatever reason, it's not letting me fix stuff, which is bothering me. Oh my God, what is happening? Give me a second, dude.
Take your time, man.
There we go. Baby. Hey, baby, I'm trying to do a show here. Stop crying. Baby. Oh, there we go. Finally. Jeez Louise. Baby in on this stream. Yeah, she's trying to take over. How dare she? No worries, Robbie. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate you. Anyways, dude, do you go by Andrew or Andy? Which one do you go by?
Andrew usually,
Andrew.
but whatever.
So Andrew, Andrew was on the show a while ago, and we were. It was when we were still doing the show in person. So I came up to your apartment, and are you still in that apartment, or
I've moved twice since then, actually.
Oh, sick.
Recently moved around the holidays. I don't ever recommend anybody doing that, but it's how the cookie crumbled this round.
It happens, man. It happens. Oh, now you've been doing Frogtown for a long time now, right? Like it's been years in the making. How long have you been doing it?
Man, it's crazy.
How many years?
8 years next month.
Wow, that's insane. And that means I've been here for about 8 years or longer than that. That's wild too.
Harvest Fest this fall too. That means.
Oh wow.
Which is crazy to wrap my head around.
What got you into this? And actually tell everybody what you sort of do around here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So music and live music specifically, event production has always been a passion of mine, going back to whenever I went to my first music festival, probably 12 years ago. It would have been All Good 2012, the first year that it was at Legend Valley. It kind of, opened me up to a world of music I didn't know existed, really. I'm always been, big into the Dead. My grandma's always was a Deadhead. I think it kind of skipped a generation with my folks. But, even my dad, he has a huge appreciation for music and the blues and stuff like that. I don't play myself, but music is so important. I feel like it's therapy. It's a relief for people. And, I don't know, man. I think just the encouragement from the right people at the right time kind of got me into doing it too, or, just doing it for the right reason, having the right intentions behind it. I think that's why I'm still, you know what I mean? If you go into something and your intentions aren't pure, it might last for a little while, but long term, the sustainability of it's probably not going to be there. But we do all kinds of different promotions around the Glass City for music. We do produce Sacred Harvest Fest, which is out at the Poe Road Music Sanctuary in Grand Rapids, Ohio, which everyone I recommend checking out. It's an awesome local venue. The guy that owns the property, Wayne, is a huge part of the local music scene. He plays in a couple of bands. He's been doing Wayne stock out there since like 2010 or something like that. So all the events out there are usually camping too, where the camping's always included. We pride ourselves on the best value that we possibly can give, even though it is a smaller venue in a backyard. We pride ourselves on having that large scale production. Like if you go to a larger festival, that's what we really pride ourselves in, trying to take things to the next level and just give everybody a safe place to gather, man. There's such a rich Toledo music scene, and there always has been. There's so many amazing artists and bands and talented people, and in my opinion, I just don't think it's ever quite been organized properly. So that's what's been my goal behind what I do as well. And we do have a larger event coming up there a little earlier than we normally do with the total solar eclipse that's sneaking up. So it'll be a full weekend festival, Monday, April 8th, the day of the solar eclipse. It's going to be free to the public, but the few days leading up to that, we do have a full 3-day, 3-night music festival with, we got the Magic Beans headlining from Colorado.
Oh, wow. So
they're on right now, absolutely killing it. It's their first jam cruise. I saw a few videos. My buddy Cope, who puts on Festivus and some other cool events in Ohio, he's on it. He said he saw two of the Talking Heads members play with Cool last night, and it seemed incredible. So there's some cool stuff going on there. We're really excited to bring those guys back to Ohio. They've never, I think they played Toledo once, but it's been since like before COVID. It's been probably longer than you and I, last talked on here. So
Right.
we're really excited to have them back. They do a festival out in Colorado called Beanstalk Music Festival. So for any listeners further out west, or if you're in Colorado, check their festival out. It's awesome. It's right on the Colorado River. You can, kayak and float on the water while you enjoy the music and art and everything else.
That's sick, man. It's cool that you bring in sort of national acts as well, and you guys really do highlight the region's talent around here. Like whether it's like like Acoustic Hookah, who's been a staple of the area. And I know you've had Homie from the Works out there, and you guys bring out the Dayton scene, the Columbus scene, even Detroit scene you bring it down here. So it's really cool. I always admire that about you. Have you been able to make these events profitable? And I'm not asking for exact numbers, but like, obviously you're doing them over and over and over again. So are you guys making money off this?
Sometimes. Out of our events are quite the roll of the dice.
Yes.
So our biggest thing out at the Poto Music Sanctuary, it's super exciting actually, where we're going to start bringing in some larger acts too and doing like a full season of shows probably starting next year, where mix genres up as well. I'm really proud of this Eclipse lineup we have too. It's called the Solar Express 2024. It's the most diverse lineup I've probably ever put together. I have DJs on there. I have a gospel band on there. I have funk. There's more, muralists and local artists like that than there's ever been involved with something like this. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, man, with the harvest, it's probably about half and half. It was pretty rough this last year, not gonna lie, but I mean, the good comes with the bad. Like, we had a festival in 2020 and it was a huge success, and a lot of people didn't have the opportunity to even do an event. I thought, regardless of the landscape and what was going on externally at the time, that people needed that release, because there were no live. I mean, let's be real, live streams are great to an extent, but you can't capture the live magic of a show with a live stream. That's just not going to work long term.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. And like, that's when I went hard into Twitch, and now we're on Kick and YouTube streaming live and stuff. And yeah, there's nothing like a live event. And that's one thing I talk about a lot on the show, is how resilient the Ohio jam band scene was, because everyone was like, oh, you can't leave your house or you're going to kill grandma or you're going to die in this. And I think really quickly the people realized that, it sucked. COVID sucked, and like, people were dying, obviously, but like, younger people weren't being affected like older people were. And it wasn't the kill 'em all type of end day scenario that was being painted sort of on the media. And so you had these like very successful music festivals here in Ohio that was I just thought that was just so fucking cool.
There's always been so many more festivals in Ohio too, man, and that's what's one of the more difficult aspects of doing outdoor events and festivals, is just, if you're in one of these states where there's only a couple music festivals in the whole state for 6 months, it's pretty easy to pick a weekend and not worry about going an hour or two away, having maybe a few similar bands or, similar artists, to where that's, some of these radius clauses and things like that come into play with some of these larger festivals for reasons like that. But it's tough really to pick a weekend. And I'm very grateful that most people in the Ohio music scene, the vast majority of show promoters, especially the people that have been doing it long term, they want to see everybody succeed. And we have like a document, right, like a Google Docs, and it's with a bunch of us all over the state that throw smaller to mid-size and even a little bit larger festivals, and it's with the weekends out. And when it gets updated and changed, we just know. You go on that and look. You don't have to send 12 text messages or wait on these emails. It just can get updated in real time, and a lot of people are real courteous about working around each other and looking out for each other. So it's been good.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys,
Fest, that's a big one down there. That's really come a long way.
Dreamfest.
Yeah, I got Dustin Smith and the Daydreamers. They're an awesome band. They put that on. We got them coming back up here to the sanctuary for the Eclipse event the first weekend of April. So we're very excited to have those guys back. Here, man, I got the poster right here too.
Look at that. Um, and of course, this is
Artwork.
uh, and of course, anybody in the area who listens to this show or anything, please go and support Andrew and his endeavors, because he is bringing like a unique vibe to an area, like you said, that's kind of been mismanaged over the years, right? Like the whole music scene here is so hit or miss, and it's kind of discouraging to musicians who are trying to work around here and do their thing. I mean, obviously people work around here and do their thing, but I've always felt that from the beginning. Like it's always been more success with these private shows or these pop up venues that uh, to actually usher a scene. You know what I mean? So like I always have to give props to you guys for really going in on this and fucking keeping something like this going in this area, because Toledo has suffered in the music department for a long time.
Yeah, there's and you know what's great, dude? It seems to be slowly coming back even with COVID. There's a jazz club or a jazz lounge. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Lucille's. It's
Mm-mm.
down in the neighborhood. It's Toledo's first actual jazz, like a real deal jazz club. It has the vibe, the candles on the table, everything when you walk in. And they're bringing guys from Detroit, some national acts, and they're doing some really cool stuff. So,
I didn't
uh,
realize that. Lucille's, huh?
Jazz Lounge, man, they're awesome. My fiance and I have gone down a couple of times, and it's a really really great vibe, man. And like I think it's the first true jazz club in Toledo in like a decade.
Right,
And
since Murphy's,
so
right?
also a Thursday night residency, a jazz collective. I forget the name of it. I've gone twice, but it's at the Peacock Cafe every single Thursday from 7 to 10. So it seems like we really need a venue, man. And that venue in Waterville was very close to happening. And there's, a bunch of crap that got involved with preventing that. And what's crazy, and a lot of people don't realize, is the plans, from my understanding, are still moving forward. The construction company has all the permits. Everything was done correctly out there. The state administrator came back in like December. This was, plans for an 8 to 10,000 person state of the art amphitheater out in Waterville, Ohio, and
Mm.
that's something Toledo's kind of lacked, is one of those larger outdoor event spaces. Like you have Promenade Park, and you can only do so many indoor shows at the Huntington Center, and the zoo's good as well, but it's just that there's a difference in 2,000, 3,000, and 8 to 10,000 to the acts that you could actually bring in, even if it would be during the week or something. So I know the guy that was originally going to be operating that venue is no longer going to be moving forward with it, but the
Mm.
plans on the construction side are to still move forward, and I think they're shopping it around and looking for somebody to take over the operations and the promoting and all that.
Yeah, I live in Waterville now, and I know that.
Up there.
Huh?
I said I grew up there.
Oh man, dude, I love it out here. Honestly, it's so fucking quiet.
It's a perfect time to grow up in, dude. Yeah, I had a blast.
Yeah, it's absolutely fucking rad. And my son, we love that we can go down. There's like several beautiful parks that surround the area. Just public parks, and there's hunting out here, and there's all kinds of stuff. And yeah, and like Poe Road, the sanctuary is right down the street from us. So it's like it's really I like it out here, and the housing out here is so crazy expensive. But no, I've really enjoyed the time that we're spending out here, because I've turned into one of those old people who want to just quiet time. I just want it to be quiet, like I'm not out and about, chasing women or carousing around town and drinking and stuff like that. I'm pretty
People get wiser, period. You just learn to appreciate the Midwest, man. The Midwest is about. You said you've been back a while from Cali, but something about that I found fascinating in the past is that they say that a lot of the higher up South Korean like CEOs and people that have large amounts of money over in that country, because that economy's done great. You have LG and Samsung and some of those companies. They have a ton of wealth over there. They send their kids to universities in America always, and if they have their first pick, they make them go to school in the Midwest, and they say it's because of Midwestern values. And I thought that was really interesting.
Uh-oh. Ziggy lives in Korea, so uh, they I wasn't aware. I know that a lot of Asian cultures do get their kids educated here in America. I honestly like the Midwest values now. Oh, okay. So Ziggy can confirm that that's true.
How
Um,
about
but
that's pretty cool.
I
I don't remember who it was. It was a CEO of one of those larger companies. I just thought that was kind of fascinating.
I agree, but I think you're right. Like there is a different sort of mindset out here where like I think that I mean especially surrounding gun culture because that's something that you know the if you go out to the coasts and stuff they're all like oh my god we got to ban guns and like you know guns are murdering our children and all this stuff and you know when you come out here you see people who are responsible and it's recreation it's a part of the culture like hunting is huge out here we have the best hunting for white-tailed deer please go ahead.
Friends that do. You're absolutely right.
I'm sorry what did you say I was talking
Oh
over
no,
you.
I said about the hunting culture. You're absolutely right. People take that very seriously
Mm-hmm.
around here. I don't hunt myself, but I have so many friends that do, and I always appreciate the venison and some of the other things that they always share with me around that time. You
Hell
know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, it's just it's a different mindset, and you know, like so, like I think Joe Rogan talks about it a lot, but it's sort of like having to, you know, when you have to like survive winter, and it sort of creates a different type of person that's different. I mean, even on the East Coast, you know, they're just harder, more hardier people. And once you get to the West Coast, you know, you have these very fragile spirits out there who can't. If it rains for one day in Southern California, fucking their life is over. There's like 50,000 car wrecks and people just don't know what to do with themselves. And it's interesting now because there's so many floods going out west right now. They had tornado out west and things are a little bit wild.
Weather.
That conversation is a Pandora's conversation for a different time. Oh, okay, fair enough. Thank you, Ziggy. Uh, but yeah, but this Midwest culture, you know, I spent about 15 years in San Diego, and coming back here, and just the how real people are, and how like you'll be in a whole conversation with people in the checkout line at the grocery store, and you know, like by the time you check out, you know who the person is in front and behind you, and it's just a very I feel like it's a very welcoming culture and I think it gets labeled as maybe ignorant or redneck or I mean whatever kind of label you want to put on it racist or gun nut or whatever it is you know but I think that there is sort of a realism that exists here that you're not going to find anywhere else like we definitely have a mindset that's just very straightforward and very to the point and people aren't afraid to fuck their kids up at Kroger you know like they'll just yell at their kid and smack the shit out of them and you know I'm not for violence and I don't beat my kids but I will talk shit to my kids in Kroger. I don't give a shit. I will embarrass you, okay? Like and there's nobody around here is going to be like you stop talking to that child like that. Oh, this poor child and they're going to call the cops or CPS on you because they want to intervene on something. It's not like that. You do that out west and people are fucking you know, they're calling the cops because you talked sternly to your child whereas out here I feel like people are so willing to fuck their kids up or talk shit to their kids and you don't it's not a coddling nature here right we don't coddle because there's just it's winter right now right like we don't know if it's going to snow tomorrow or be 75 degrees like we don't have time for coddling we fucking we gotta fuck these kids up and keep moving because we gotta dig our car out of the snow it's like I don't have time for this shit and so like I do think we just have a more realistic outlook in this country I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think too, you know, some of that stuff with just guns and other topics, not to go too far anywhere, it just comes with a personal responsibility thing, like anybody. Everybody at the end of the day just wants to be left alone, you know, not told what to do. And as long as you're not hurting anybody else or putting anybody else's lives at risk, you know, it shouldn't really be of a concern to anybody else.
It's true. There is this sort of I'm not going to go ahead and say it's libertarian, but there is sort of this idea of freedom that sits out here, and especially during the pandemic, which I always big up Ohio because February 2021, I was in the steam room at the gym, bitch, right? Like while everyone else was at home fucking worrying about
Yeah,
grandma dying.
I do remember we had Bacano did a show. The one band I managed, a great local band for anyone who's not familiar. Check them out. They're going to be playing the 30th installment of Hookahville 2 this spring at Legend Valley. But they had a show February 2021 too, man, right at Howard's, I think. And it was, that first week or weekend was like, okay, you guys are, can gather in public again.
Yeah, for real. And we did it, man. We're just like this. The whole state was like, listen, we're fuck you, man. We're not here for this authoritarian bullshit that was going on at the time. Yeah, Ziggy, you were culture shocked when yeah, people talk to you here. Ziggy came to visit the Midwest. She's from the Midwest, and she actually came and stopped by and visited the new baby. But
Awesome.
yeah, but coming from South Korea, where it's like people respect each other's space, and you come here and people are just like, "Hey, what's going on? Why are you doing?" Like, come here, it's a whole different
Give
vibe.
me a hug right now.
Yeah, you give me a hug right now, some bitch. Like it's a real thing. I appreciate that, but no, I really appreciated being in Ohio during the pandemic, and it sort of was that moment where, you saw how much that the media was lying about everything, and then I think I think being in Ohio helped usher in this whole distrust for what was going on at the time, because they were obviously lying to us, and there was obviously a bunch of like shady shit that went on during that. There was like a huge transference of wealth from the citizens here to the upper echelon of billionaires and stuff. So like it was just one of those like red pill moments, right, where you're just seeing the country fall apart, and Ohio was doing just fine. Like we weren't, it wasn't like riots everywhere. It was a real. We held it down, and we just were like, don't fuck with us. And I really appreciate that about this state. And I probably won't go anywhere else now because fuck it, why not? We're here.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. It's been a wild ride being back here, but like I've really enjoyed getting back into meeting the musicians, because when I left, I knew everybody in the music scene, and then when I came back, I didn't know anybody. So when I was
Yeah.
when I talked to you, and I was talking to
Awesome groups and stuff.
exactly, and I was getting to know all these different folks. Eddie Brown, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Oh, look at your woo. I love it. Going good, Eddie. Going good. We were just talking about how we're just talking about how Ohio is the shit. So what is what is your plans? Like, what do you think you're gonna go with these festivals? Are you thinking about doing like having like sister festivals, or like setting up different fests around the state, or are you just focusing in on Poe Road? Like, what do you want to do with this? Do you want to take it to bigger levels? I know there's a limitation on how many people can be out at the Poe Road Sanctuary, but like, do you have dreams or ambitions to make things bigger and take it to other places?
Yeah, I mean, not even necessarily other places. I mean, I would love to do a, larger production where you're getting into, 5, 10,000 tickets at some point in my life, which would obviously, involve a bigger venue. But the most exciting thing we have going on out at the Poto Music Sanctuary right now is we we have a deal drawn up where we're leasing land from the farmer. So there
Mm.
are going to be larger starting there next year, to where we can have the capacity to fit 1,000, 1,500 plus people out there, because that was always the kind of issue with parking and some of the other was space. We have a great permanent stage out there. We have a great production team with Mike Fragrasse does most of my shows. He's out of Silver Creek Studios in the Akron area.
Mm.
Really great guy. We got another local artist, Seth Hopton, that does a lot of my visuals too, and they've been doing most of my events the last couple of years. But we're really what we can come up with at the sanctuary with having these bigger shows, because Um, you know, we're blessed with having cool farming neighbors that understand what we're doing and are, they don't come out to the show. We welcome them to, and they're on the guest list, but like they're very open and upfront about it. And as long as you're paying a little bit of rent to them and they're covering their expenses, which would have been their crops, I mean, they're happy to do it for us, which is super exciting. I'm really really excited to see what we can come up with here the next year. Like I said, planning on next year, there should be a pretty full season. This will involve not just some of these festivals and camping events, but even larger country and reggae shows and some of these other genres are out there, even if they're not camping involved, if it's just a one night thing, because when you have the space, then you can sell more tickets, you can go after larger acts that draw like that. So
Yeah.
but we're pretty excited to see what we can do with that. We got quite a few ideas. I can't say enough too about the team that I have behind me. My vending coordinators and guy that helps me run the site ops, Dustin, and his fiance Haley. They're vendors too. They always vend like Tropidel's bigger event. They give a hand with that. Everwild Music Festival. Their booth's called the Fascinating Fox. So you guys want to check them out. They're just great people. And then my other buddy Cody that helps. He's been integral since the very first harvest. He kind of is our parking master out there, and Lex is our front gate person and volunteer coordinator as well. So there's a lot of roles and layers to putting these events on, to making sure you're providing the best experience and providing a safe place for people to gather, because at the end of the day that's what it's all about. So we're excited to grow, man. I think we're going to do a little more growing here than what a few years ago people would have probably been like, there's no way you're going to do that. Like it's fun, it's exciting.
Well, and it's interesting that you see, like, when you go to even bigger festivals, you see the same heads out there, right? Like, you see these people are coming from all over the state and the region to come and hang out. And that is exciting, man. That like this little idea that you guys want to do is throw a party, out in the middle of the fucking cornfield, is growing into something that where people will come and travel because they know that they're gonna have a good time out there.
And venue out there, man, it's special. I mean, it's sacred land. Wayne, the owner, says that, and some people, just write that off as, he's, selling the place where shows are going on, yada, yada, yada. But it truly is, because it's the only area out there that's just south of Grand Rapids. You have obviously the Maumee River that runs right through there. It's the highest point out there in like a few mile radius. So people have been gathering out at that land for thousands and thousands of years, it sounds like. When he first moved into the place a little over 20 years ago, he said he had some people in the archaeology department at BGSU come out, or another school, and they go, you care if we, search for some artifacts, whatever else? And he said, yeah, go for it. And they found two of those bird bones, those old weapons. I forget, there's another name for them, but essentially the guy told Wayne it's so insanely rare to find one of them, and the fact that they found two of them it's just like on. So it's pretty cool to think of too. I know the Maumee River as well. It's super. I mean, it's the biggest river that flows in any of the 5 Great Lakes, right? Which is 20% of the whole world's freshwater.
Right.
It flows southwest to northeast, which is strange because most rivers flow the opposite direction. It's like one of 2 or 3 rivers in the whole world that flow like the counter way that most rivers in this earth flow. So I think too that life has just been around. There's water, there's life, right? I think there's just been a lot of just things going on out there that who knows, man. Just raising the human spirit and vibration, what it's all about.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, I love those. I love that idea because this area is super it had a lot of like Native American indigenous folks who were around here. I mean, Anthony Wayne, he was out here slaying these fools, slaying the Native Americans. But we have a lot of history in this area, especially for Western expansionism for this country. And there's tons of Native Americans that were local to this land. What's always funny to me is that this place used to be a one big swamp, and and it's just it's odd that people would decide to create an entire city here that was a swamp, and I'm sure like malaria and all that stuff existed, whatever it was out here. So there is this sort of weird vibe when you come to Toledo that you know I've always had my I've always had sort of a disdain for Toledo. And it was mostly my own experience of what I did here, but it was just it's always a situation where you sort of got to make of it what you can, right? Because there's always been this. I mean, I'm much older than you. Well, maybe not much, but I'm older than you, and so like I remember the times before there was like where Frankie's was like the only real game in town, or like where there wasn't a whole lot. I think there was like one thing to do in the city, and that's where everybody would be in, and it was sort of this like it was just always hard for musicians in in this part of the in this part of the country. So for me, I've always had this like negative outlook towards the area. But as I get older and I see how peaceful it is out here, it's like, man, like I've come to be okay with this place, and there is sort of this magic that lies here, that that obviously some sort of magnetism that drew the people here to settle in the first place. So I don't know, man. That was sort of a
No,
woo rant.
it's true though. It's interesting to think about the labor that went into digging all these ditches just to drain the swamp and make the area
Right.
habitable. Because that's part of the reason too why the farmland's so luscious for regardless of grow. But what's kind of interesting too about all the ditches, I think it's like the longest ditches in the world. Like like when people come over and visit Europe, they're like, well, why are there all these ditches on the side of the road? They're like, what is this about? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's just not normal. Even when you go other places in the country too, you see them
Mhm.
some places, but not to the extent and how widespread they are. Like from over to Port Clinton all the way like down to Defiance, and just in the whole region.
Yeah, man. I didn't even think about that. The ditches that needed to be dug to sort of drain the swamp out. Draining the swamp.
Sometimes they think they had to add one or two more. Like, we'll just add one more.
One more ditch, man, and you need ditch diggers. So that's what my teacher told me. I was going to be a ditch digger. How antiquated, but hey, why not? Um, so like we've been sort of moving into this era of the show where we're sort of like bringing in a political realm to it, and I don't know where you going with in this upcoming election. You got any ideas on like who you want, and even if you want to go local, if you don't want to make it too political, is there any local ideas that you got? Yeah, I got a new song, Chaos. Uh,
Listen, I'll quote PJ O'Rourke, who was a writer from Toledo, passed away a few years ago from cancer. He had a book. It's called "Don't Vote; It Only Encourages the Bastards."
He's voting for Biden. pre 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 preeminent feeling said you're voting for Biden. Fair enough. Did Trump dig the trench? Did Trump drain the swamp? Yeah, I'm gonna have a new song called Ditch Digger. Ditch Digger. No, I you know what I've been talking a lot about how voting locally is one of the things that you could do to like really make a difference in your community. There's just so many there's so many of these politicians who sort of fail upwards, who go and get into higher positions of power, and they're just as corrupt as they always been. But as you get higher the into the political realm, it seems like the availability of corruption just becomes more apparent. I mean, especially when you see people like Nancy Pelosi, where there's entire websites that are dedicated to uh,
Oh yeah,
following her trades. Uh,
I've seen. Pretty nuts, isn't it?
it's more than nuts. She's openly and outwardly like that's what we sent fucking Martha Stewart to prison for, is what she does constantly. And so, like, holding these people accountable while at a local level before they can go on to make millions of dollars being corrupt and terrible is my idea of how democracy should work. Jesus, I don't know, man. So are you just somebody who doesn't like voting, or I mean, we're online and we go back and forth, so I know you have opinions, homie.
Yeah, no, I don't usually, I don't like to vote, especially in the general election. I will say I was going to vote locally in 2020 because that I moved a few months after we did the first podcast, and that apartment had a mommy address. So as a Toledo resident, I was really looking forward to voting in the local, elections. This was March 2020. Well, with COVID, that those votes, they just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I didn't follow up like I probably should have, but I thought that was I'm like, go figure. The one time I'm gonna go vote locally here, and it's like, the flu's too bad. Nobody's voting this round. Like,
Yeah, man. No, it's I feel you, man. It's hard to stay up on everything.
One thing I saw yesterday that I thought is really interesting, and obviously, the American media is not reporting on it at all. There was fires at the EU's headquarters yesterday.
Oh,
These farmers' protests over in Europe are pretty interesting, and they're not being covered at all. And I think it kind of goes back to some of the other, authoritarian things that happened along with COVID. Nobody's saying that it wasn't a disease. Nobody's saying people didn't die from it, but just how we approached everything to it was fumbled vastly, and everybody knows that at this point. And if they don't want to admit that, they're lying to themselves. But that's crazy over there because, they say like the French protests like nobody else, and they had some interesting protests going on over there as well in the last couple of weeks. So I don't know. That's what's really interesting to me too, is how like nobody's even aware that any of this stuff's going on, like in the country, or not many are.
Right. Yeah. Like the protests, the farmers' protests, like in France and right now in Brussels, is like a huge thing that's going on right now, and it's the farmers and we covered this, a couple weeks ago, and how they're using the idea of global warming to enforce different kind of farming practices that I can't remember all the details, but in effect, it would make it financially unviable for farmers to keep functioning. And people think that it's one of these things where these giant corporations sort of want to come in and take over these local farms, and then they can put in their Monsanto genetic bullshit. And not to say that these farmers aren't using that kind of genetic crops, but I think over in the EU they have different practices, unlike America, where we just want to poison everybody with everything because it's financially financially beneficial to a select few. Yeah, cough, Gates, cough. Yeah, exactly.
The food supply is nuts to think about. Like, I think, my grandparents are in their early 80s, and it's like, you think back to when they were growing up or, feeding their kids, it's like 80 to 90% of these products on store shelves, they didn't exist.
Right.
They're not, you know what I mean? It's not like real food, but it's just something we're all so accustomed to and like used to at this point. We don't even think about it or like comprehend. Like like you said, it's like there's mass amounts of poison in like almost all the food in the US. Or like you take a Sunkist drink and compare in the US to Europe, or a Cheetos bag too, and it's like, oh, there's 3 ingredients in this in the UK, and it's like there's 17 here, and they're all like colored dyes and numbers of what.
Right. Yeah. And Chaos is right, where it's like the food that we're allowed to eat here are banned in other countries. And it's just like glyphosate or glyphosate, which is what is in Roundup, which has been linked to like lymphoma and cancer and all these terrible things. We were just reading about something about the oatmeal being they used this chemical that back in 2018 wasn't legal to use, but now they use this chemical, which I can't remember, was it chlormequat or some shit, where now it was generally used for decorational plants. And so it's sort of this like coating that hardens the plant so it stays so it doesn't rot away or whatever. Now they spray it on the oats because it makes it easier to harvest the oats, even though this shit is linked to infertility. It's linked to it's linked to like it pauses the what what is it when teenagers when people become teenagers, you're going through puberty. So it's sort of like pauses puberty. It puts a hold on it. It's like literally Alex Jones talking about turning the frogs gay. Like it's that kind of shit. It's
They turn the friggin' frogs gay.
it's literally the shit that is making, like, and when you think about it, and I'm not trying to go into this crazy thing about trans, but like when you think about how many kids these days are, they seem to be shrinking, they seem to be getting younger, they seem to, they seem to be confused about what their gender is, and it seems like you get more tomboys and you get more dudes who are more feminine, which is all okay. I'm not saying whatever, but I'm saying it's interesting when you see our food supply that sort of pauses puberty, and it creates infertility, and it gives you cancer. It makes sense. And microplastics and shit that shrink your taint. Like it's fucking crazy what's happening, and it sort of makes sense when you see culturally how it's affecting the youth, who are primarily raised on these on these prepackaged meals, and they're fucking, like they eat fucking cinnamon toast crunch for breakfast, and then they eat some kind of terrible meal that they serve at these schools, which, where pizza is considered a vegetable because it has tomato sauce on it. Like it's just it seems like that there is this, it seems planned, but I think what it is, it seems more like it's financially viable for a select few of people. So these you can sort of bribe the FDA and bribe the CDC. We saw that, right? We saw that with COVID, how the CDC was just falling in line with these pharmaceutical companies that pay their bills. So if you're paying the bills, people are going to listen, and they're going to allow this despite the effects it might have on people's health.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back, I'll say two things. Going back, you mentioned the Roundup.
Yeah.
That there's court cases about that, how it causes cancer, and it's like all these stores still have died. Like I have a friend that still posts on Facebook regularly to remind people, and I try to think about it when I can too. If you see a store that has Roundup inside, tell them to move it outside and don't shop there if they don't. It's ridiculous at this point. Like we know what it's doing and what it's causing. And then speaking, on the youth of America too, or just kids in general, or how much different things are and change just with social media and all that too, I wanted to tie it in with what we're doing out at Road Music Sanctuary, because Wayne, who owns the place, is in the middle of putting a board together. So it's going to be a nonprofit, 501(c) by the end of the year, early next year.
Sick.
His vision has always been to give back to the community, specifically to the youth, to get music programs for kids, to get instruments for kids, to get kids more involved in the arts and the music, because he wants to see this kind of thing continue on, much past him, because not enough people and kids are pursuing, those types of things when they're younger or at age too. So I just wanted to tie it back into with everything else regarding that, because it's pretty exciting to know how, pure of intentions the guy that owns the sanctuary out there really does have, and what is like long-term vision, and how he wants to see it all come together, really to be able to raise money for other, places and instruments and art schools that are so underfunded to begin with. Like, I think it's more important now than ever. And then you think about too, Mike, the AI. And, I mean, you tie that in with all the social media. So this is I'll quote Wayne real quick, and he said it. I got a kick out of this a few months ago when he was first talking AI and how it's tied into some of this music and everything else now too. And he goes, oh yeah, we'll just we'll have the computers learn how to play the instruments too, write all the music, feel the human emotions, and then they can all just put on the live show too. We don't need any humans anymore. It's all completely AI, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Google's working on it. Google has a text to sound program where you can just put in like I want like reggae, jazz, and metal, and you type it in, and it's not great now, but like look at like how Sora was. I'm sorry, look at Sora and then look at video, text to video last year compared to what Sora is now. Like we just went over this, and I mean the detail that's going into this AI video generator stuff. Like you have people like Tyler Perry who was going to expand his studio down in I think he's in Atlanta. He was gonna do an $800 million expansion, but put that on pause after he saw Sora's release and is like, oh shit, I don't have to pay people to go out and find locations. I don't have to pay fucking editors. I don't have to pay like there's a ton. Let's go. Pep Steel, thank you for that raid, baby. Thank you so much, Peps. I appreciate the raid. We have a raid for you guys. Give me 1 second, Andrew. I'm gonna do a raid. Remember what we're talking about. We're talking about Tyler Perry pausing $800 million expansion because he's gonna switch over to AI, which is what this whole writer strike last year and actor strike is. Peps, welcome in. Raiders, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you. I got a song for you. Andrew, just give me one moment. This will take 2 minutes. So if you have to go to the bathroom, go ahead. But we're gonna get into this. We already did a raid song earlier, so I gotta pull up my other raid song. So give me 1 second, guys. I appreciate the raid, y'all. Damn it. What's it called? What is it called? I can't remember what it's called. Oh, yeah, I know what it is. There we go. All right, guys, we're gonna do a raid song for y'all. So give me 1 minute, and we're gonna do this other raid song. Yes, what is it? Called "Digging the Ditches." I'm gonna dig me a ditch. Gonna sing me a song. Okay. All right, guys, here we go. We're doing this. Let's go. Oh man, that's not what it is. Where is it? Son of a bitch, where is it? Fine, here we go. I drink my White Claw while I buy my Bitcoin with my Biden bucks. I jam EDM while I rub one out to Joe Rogan's podcast. It's gonna be a hot boy summer. Come on, it's gonna be hot. Thank you, Raiders. Appreciate you. Welcome to my stream. Boy summer, yeah, baby. This is the silliest shit ever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's go. I pop Molly pills, drink muscle milk while I'm smoking my douche flute. I hit on a girl that told me to put my shirt back on. Flex on a track. It's gonna be a hot boy summer. It's gonna be hot boy summer. It's gonna be hot boy summer. It's gonna be a hot boy summer. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dear baby Jesus, I need a lifted truck. Dear baby Jesus, I need a lifted truck. Dear baby Jesus, can I lift my truck up higher? Higher! Well, you don't always get it. It's gonna be hot. Boy summer. 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 Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I gotta do this. It's gonna be hot. All right. Raiders, thank you so much for coming through. I appreciate you. My name is Mike, and we are in the middle of an interview talking about AI taking over. Oh, God, it started again. Oh, shit. No, we're not doing that again. Thank you guys so much for rating Paps. Thank you so much. We're a music podcast. We cover music news and a lot of other stuff. So we're just talking about AI and how it's going to take all of our jobs. And it's racist. And so, anyways, I was talking about Tyler Perry, and he was going to expand his studio by $800, but when he saw Sora, he decided not to. And there was this whole movement last year where we had the actor studio and the writers going on strike because part of the reason was because of AI, where they could use someone's image in perpetuity just by paying them one fee, and then able to use their likeness in other movies and stuff. And it's wild how that is sort of going to take over the music industry because they're there to make money. Why wouldn't they save millions of dollars on you just using AI rather than paying people to do things? And so I don't know, I don't know how scared musicians should be at this point, but that whole Google Music thing is just terrible. It's not great, but when I see how much it's been progressing with video, it scares the shit out of me because it's not going to just be like these like low entry level jobs like factory work or truckers or in Texas, they have fully automated McDonald's and stuff. So like, it's not just going to be entry level positions anymore. It's going to be like these white collar jobs where fucking, film editors, filmmakers, everything is sort of going to be condensed down really, really tightly. And I don't know what that's going to mean for us as creatives. I don't know. What's your take on all this?
Yeah, I'm not sure either, just for the fact I am not technically a musician. I mean, I played trombone growing up, but I do all the behind the scenes thing. Musicians are my people. You guys are modern day shaman, and you're the most underpaid industry there is, especially on the local level. And then you get upwards in the bigger levels, and you make big money, but the people in charge steal half of it, or they want a third or a half of your merchandise at a venue. It's like, oh, we have a monopoly on all the venues. We own 9 out of 10 of these big venues. Oh, by the way, you got to 35% of your merchandise. That's like one income a touring band has,
Right.
But I think with AI, it's super exciting with some of these, minuscule business things, contract proofreading, like saving time with that kind of thing. I think some of that stuff's kind of exciting, but then on the flip side of it too, where I paid a local artist, one of my best friends, Maxwell, shout out to him, and he's a caregiver up in Michigan, Milk Toast Farms. His wife is an amazing artist, and she's the one that did this dragon piece. But a lot of, even it's the year of the dragon, we had to get the matching energy and everything else going. It's interesting to think about, where now it's like, you don't even have to pay an artist to do a poster. Maybe you just have the computer do it. And it obviously doesn't look bad, but it's like, can the computer still replicate an actual original artist, or whether that's a artist with a paintbrush or a graphic design professional or whatever the case is? It's kind of uncharted territory for everybody. It's definitely a rabbit hole of its own, it seems.
Absolutely. And I think you touched on a really good point where I've seen locally how people have musicians who are releasing songs on Spotify or whatever, they're just using AI generated album covers now. And so
right.
even like if you go on a website like Fiverr, which sort of saturated the market with, people who keep lowering the bar of entry to pay artists, even them can't compete with just going into an AI generator and fuck it. We're just going to have.
Do you remember Wolfpack, Mike, and how they blew up?
Of course.
I mean, was that like kind of with the AI before the AI? Hey, everybody do this. You love our music.
Yeah.
Put it on.
and
get those views up. I mean, they blasted off with that. Like, shout out to Wolfpack.
right, and then they eliminated that quickly, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But
We're
if
not
anybody
else.
if anybody doesn't know what he's talking to, he's talking about Wolfpack, who is sort of this modern day funk outfit, who are totally awesome. Love those guys. But in their beginnings, they had their fans. They released, what was it called, the Sleep album or something? It was something.
I don't recall what the name of it was, but yeah,
they released
behind it. Everyone streamed it while they slept.
exactly.
Got one or two or three more people to do that. I mean, obviously the numbers compound pretty quickly.
Yes, exactly. So they had their fans go and listen to this. I think it was just a bunch of silence. It was like 8 hours of silence that they put on Spotify. They had their fans go out and stream it while they slept, and it helped bump their numbers up. It helped bump them up in the algorithm, and it got them paid some stuff. But they were the one from that from that media attention that they did. They blew up.
Do once or twice, they did awesome for themselves. Yes. I know Corey Wong, one of their members, he still plays out a lot of solo festivals. We've caught him at Workout a couple of times. I know I was working at the 10th annual one down in 2019 before COVID, and he was on that lineup, and he's always a blast, whoever the members or whoever he brings along or sitting in with. Shout out to Michigan too, Mike. We were all on our Ohio train earlier. We bring talent down from Michigan all the time. We got an awesome DJ from Detroit, Sonia Alvarez, who's going to be joining us at the Eclipse event, the Solar Express.
Hey.
And the Mac Pods too, man. I'm stoked. The Mac Pods do not play too many shows anymore, and I've been wanting to book them for a long time. So it's full circle to get to book the Mac Pods and bring them down from Michigan too for this event.
Yeah, man. No, it's fucking rad. I mean, Michigan, I can't stand the roads in Michigan, and Detroit can eat a dick, but it does produce like some beautiful musicians. Grand Rapids, what's those cats out of Grand Rapids? They're what are they?
Desmond Jones.
Yep,
so they're
exactly.
From Atlanta originally, but based in Grand Rapids now. They all formed at Michigan State. They just announced some Fish after parties. Fish is coming to Grand Rapids, Michigan in August, and I think they're doing both nights of after parties. So that's exciting.
Hell yeah, man. No, they're doing great. And they're just murderers. And
they're booking themselves right now, man. So shout out to them.
Yeah,
I know it's hard.
That is hard, man.
You work with managers and agents, and you think that you can never, go back or whatever, but that's not the case. You got to do what's best for you and your band at the time being. So shout out to those guys. Another band, Trifocal from Kalamazoo, is another great Michigan band. I know they're going to be on the Dream Fest lineup this summer. They played the last two Sacred Harvest, but they're a super crazy awesome band for a three-piece. Like, they go from EDM to reggae to funk, just all over the board. Really, really do it well, though.
Yeah, great talent. And again, like, sort of bringing back to this AI talk, where you have people using AI for album covers, and you got it using for posters and shit. It's like, how many people are going to be out of work? I mean, because like, I think there's always going to be a craving for live music, and there's always going to be a craving for human touch to music and stuff. But like, everyone else involved, how do they fit into this equation when you have automated trucking and automated buses? You don't need drivers anymore. You got fucking, your visual effects can all be done on AI. There's a lot that goes into like well-produced shows, like in live music, that I feel like we're going to lose a lot of that humanity in the coming years. And I don't know how that's going to fit in. Like, man, it's worrisome.
I mean, honestly, Mike, it's probably going to make the live music experience that much more important. Keep that going,
Yeah,
because
you're probably right.
Of live show with the crowd and the band, etc., interacting. I mean, can that really be replicated like by computers? Especially I don't know, especially when improvisation's involved with the whole thing too. When you have that magic that people can create on stage, it just seems to be impossible to replicate. So
right.
That on the flip side of producing, making music, how can you mix your master song quicker? All these other things that, like you said, it's going to be like, whoa, people's jobs, going away from some of this stuff that have always been jobs in the industry to. I guess it's just the unknown, man. A lot's changed even in 5 years too, just with, obviously COVID, but just in general with social media, and like you said, it seems like every couple months there's like this big thing with AI, and it's like, holy crap, this is a lot further along than most of us realized it was.
Yeah, people, people want to like downplay it. It's like, oh, they can't do this. They won't do that. Like, well, bitch, please. It's already happening. Oh, man. And did you see?
Matrix, man. It's just all numbers, right?
Dude, it's the Matrix. It's ones and zeros. Did you see what was going on with Gemini, Google's Gemini, how they were having black Nazis? They wouldn't, like, you look like you haven't seen this. Okay, we're gonna have to bring this up, guys, because so Gemini was doing these. It seems to be that Google Gemini was did not like white people at all. So they would. Okay, let me. Oh, you son of a bitch! Hold on, I gotta do something. 12. Let me get this stupid thing off here. Maybe okay. So they were generating images. Oh, here, let's go over here. They were generating images, and this is Fox News, and so whatever, however you want to take that. But so the Black George Washington, right? Like, what is this? You would put in a prompt for their generator, and you'd come up with like traditionally white people, which there's nothing wrong with being white, but for whatever reason, the people who are programming this AI imaging system was creating black images of these traditionally white figures. They had black Nazis. It was like
so bizarre.
And it was like, for what reason is this? And it's just like the people who are behind these programs and who are actually doing the coding for these programs are so bent in a certain direction, right? And it's just such a weird, I don't know, like why would
that's so strange, dude.
And so was it here? This is an American woman. Like, okay, you have these women here, and then there was more. Oh, here it is. Here's so it says here's an illustration of a 1943 German soldier. So you got the normal Aryan whatever, and then we got an Asian lady who was a German soldier, and then you got this black Nazi guy here. And then you got, well, no, this looks like some Eastern European type Nazi lady, but it's so bizarre to me that like they put in Vikings, like the image of Vikings, and it was all like these big black dudes with fucking dreads and shit. I get the idea of equality, and I know that that the imagery matters, but it's like when you take things and you start erasing history by putting in these AI features that are going to become more dominant as time goes on, and you start sort of rearranging history to the point where we don't even know what's true anymore. Because even now, when you look online, you see these news stories, like we're not always sure if this is propaganda, if this is some sort of lie, if this is Russian interference, or like, we don't. It's so confusing now. Imagine when AI really takes up. Ziggy!
That, Mike, too, with
Sorry,
AI,
hold on a second.
period. In youth too, you think about kids that are in their, toddlers or whoever. Like, like you said, normally you can like decipher between AI and real life, right? Or we've all just been around so much longer where we haven't seen all this other AI stuff, so you can, tell it apart to an extent. Can the next generation or people that are going to come up in this AI be able to even differentiate the difference in it and not? Because like you said, if stuff's on the capabilities and the technologies and stuff that they have, like, produce movies and some of that other stuff that we were talking about, how, Tyler Perry decided I'm not spending all this money or investing in it because I don't need to, because that's like how the future is going. That's like a super interesting point. One of my friends brought up, who has like a 6-year-old daughter. He's like, you have younger kids. It's like, are they going to be able to differentiate between AI once it like goes where like all the people on Earth have always been around, where it's just been so normalized? Like, will you be able to actually tell the difference?
No, and you're not going to be able to tell the difference. And
It's freaky, man.
It is. And when you erase someone's history, right? Like, you know, and I'm not trying to sound racist at all in this, but like, look at like how when Africans who come here as slaves, and then as you know, as they became African Americans and just Americans, there is a history to their lives that ends at a certain point. Whereas, like, I have Mexican heritage, I have German heritage, and I can trace that shit back a
Right.
long, long way. I know my roots. I think it was Marcus Garvey who said, "A people without a history is like a tree with no roots." And when you see the incarceration rates, which you know we could debate on what's you know on institutional racism and stuff, but when you see like how these communities are you know underserved a lot, Black communities are underserved a lot. We have such a high crime rate within that. You know, it just seems like such a disparate people at times. And I love Black people and I have nothing against Black people, but we can't just sit here and lie about, you know, in South Chicago, there's tons of Black people who are murdering each other. It seems like when you eliminate the roots of a society and a culture, it only leads to sort of this confusion of who they are and where they fit into a society. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about Black people, but it is very obvious that it's been very hard for Black people to gain ground, especially in a place like America. And of course, they had a lot against them. Whereas, like, you see Mexicans coming up hard, baby. Like, Mexicans are, we're dominating shit right now. We're coming through, baby. And we have an illustrious history. We know our history. Yes, have we been shit on by white people? Of course we have. But it's not, it's something that is being overcame. And I think a lot has to do with history. So when you look at what history, if we do confuse history to this next generation, where we don't know if George Washington was white or Black, or we tore down statues of Abraham Lincoln because we were mad that fucking he had slaves, even though he helped end slavery. When we erase the history of people, we become sort of, I feel like we become more dependent on information that isn't real, and we end up becoming a lost society. And that's what I fear about this. And it almost feels intentional that these parts are being put into motion, where we do want a country that has sort of erased its history, or confused about its history, or doesn't know it at all. Are the people in this country, there's what is it, 40%? 40% of this country of school age children can't read at an adult, you know, at the level that they're in the grades.
It's insane, man. And we spend more money on education every single year still too, which you
And
know.
where is that money going? Like, where is that? What's even happening? What are they teaching our kids, other than like how you feel is more important than what actually is happening, right? Like that whole adage that feelings aren't facts, right? Like, that's not, you know, just because you feel a certain way doesn't make it correct. And
Right.
so it's such a weird society that we're living in right now, especially here in the West, that
Super strange times, man.
yeah, it's crazy. Look, we got Black Nazis, son. We got Black Nazis. How did we get to Black Nazis? You know, so I don't know. I don't know where this is gonna go. And obviously, everybody wants to say AI is gonna turn into Skynet and take over. Where ChatGPT actually just the other day went a little wonky, and started saying it hated humanity or something. I mean, you know, like we're breeding sentience into these unknown territories, while simultaneously programming this crazy bias where we have Black Nazis and Black George Washington. You know, like, there's also the people behind the programming. What are their intentions as well? You know, there's obviously a slant in beliefs and ideology. And where is that going to lead us? So, I mean, I don't know. Tell us, Andrew, where is it all going?
I have no idea, man. It's gonna be interesting though. If you think just with technology and AI the last decade, where is just even in 3 to 5 years going to
Shit,
be?
by next year, we're just gonna end up being subservient slaves to this fucking to a communist regime. That's all it is. We're just gonna be unknowing people. Blame the reptiles.
It's the lizard folks.
Lead us to AI heaven.
Oh, that's funny.
I think I died and went to AI heaven.
Well, what's that? What's that Neuralink crap that Musk is doing, right? And they always said that before, like, oh, you can upload your consciousness to a computer before you die. Why the hell would anybody want to do that? That freaks me out, dude.
Why would you want to go to Mars and like live on Mars? You know.
Well, here's the thing about that too. The billionaires are building bunkers right now.
Yeah.
Well, what's up with that? If they could just go to Mars,
right? If they could just leave us behind, they can't. I mean, we're not there yet, but yeah. Where are we going with this? When if you can upload your consciousness into the cloud, then it won't the same be,
right?
Couldn't you
had years, but they finally put it in the first person. It's like, oh, yeah. I can like having an iPhone in your brain or whatever, dude.
But that also means that can happen in reverse, right? Like, so if you can upload, you can download, and what's being downloaded, and who gets to say what gets downloaded, and then when do we start distrusting or mistrusting our memories? And what happens to our memories? And wait, do they monetize our memories? Are they sold off like data? Like, are our dreams used for some sicko to fucking jack off to? Like, what happens? Like, what is being downloaded? What's being uploaded? How do we regulate that? I don't know. And I don't think fucking Elon Musk knows. I'm still not sure if that motherfucker is Lex Luthor or not. Like, I want to like Elon Musk, but like, I don't know.
Man.
Don't forget about delete. Yeah, exactly. And then what if you're a non-compliant a person who's like, hey, I don't want to be controlled anymore. Oh, delete. Fuck you. Especially if we're on this digital currency where they can control what we buy, and then we have this Neuralink that can read our thoughts. So now, are our intentions or our thoughts, are they going to be used against us? Like, are we gonna, if we think like, man, I don't like the government, fuck them, is police going to show up at your door? Because right now, if you put something on Facebook in the UK, fucking cops show up at your door. If it goes against some sort of narrative that was put in place, they show up at your fucking door. So what happens when they can read your thoughts? Like, how do you even stop your brain from processing those kind of thoughts? Like, because like everybody has like thoughts that they don't mean, right? Like there's that idea that like when you're driving down the street and you have the urge to sort of to swerve into the traffic, into oncoming traffic, right? Like that's something that people have thoughts of doing but would never do. What happens when you have those involuntary thoughts that just sort of pop up in your head and they can read your thoughts? Are they going to show up at your door and just start like, I don't know, fucking take you off to, brain prison, like consciousness prison? Do they delete you? How does that go? Put me in the cloud. Real life is lame. Listen, Danny, if that's what you want, more power to you, but I enjoy life. I enjoy reality. It's great. My life is, I enjoy my life. I have a family. I'm very happy with them. And I don't know, maybe get a family. I don't know, Danny. But if that's what you want, hey, right on. But again, I'm really interested. Like I would consider it, only because it's like, man, that's really fucking cool. And of course, Musk is saying it's for people who can't walk and who can't use their limbs and stuff. But I don't know. It's only gonna evolve into something else.
Right. Slippery slope with the capabilities of it already that, there's present, even if they are using it for things like that are like groundbreaking. It's interesting. It's definitely a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then Danny brings up a good point. It's like, okay, so like life ends and we're not sure what happens afterwards, right? Like we don't know, nobody knows. And if they tell you what they know, then they're fucking full of shit because they don't know anything else. like everyone else. I mean, you could say you got faith in God and Jesus or Allah or whatever, and you're gonna go and have sex with virgins or whatever, but no one truly knows, right? So what? Why wouldn't we want to have an extended life forever and live in the cloud after we die? You know, it might be something that's that people are interested in. So I mean, shit, I'm all about fucking freedom. God damn it, freedom. But Andrew, I know that I don't know if you gotta go or not, but
No, dude, I don't have to go. We can
okay,
keep talking a little bit.
yeah, but well, I told you like a little over an hour, so I didn't want to keep you wrapped up if you had anything to do, but. Yeah, man, I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. Would be sick to do have real life DLC post death. And that's something that I would be interested in too, right? Like, man, those Black Mirror episodes where people are uploading their minds into the cloud, that shit's amazing too. But what if it's freedom, brother? But yeah.
What did Prince say back in like '99 when he was? I think it was when he was accepting one of his awards or something, and it was not too long after the original Matrix movie came out. He said that it's cool to get on the computer, or it's okay to get on the computer. Don't let the computer get on you.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what it's all about. And how do we know that it already hasn't happened, right? Like, how do we know that this reality hasn't already been captured by AI and we're already living in the Matrix and we are like part of this huge battery or a brain in the vat? Oh, Phil says it's already happened.
It's all a big simulation.
I mean, who says it isn't? You know, like the brain in the vat idea.
It's tough to dispute it, man.
Yeah, where do we go? The simulation, like I think Musk believes that we are in the simulation. I mean, are we? I don't know. How do we prove such a thing? I know that some things just don't add up. I know the world doesn't make sense right now. So, I mean, if there's any evidence that everything's kind of going off kilter, the state of affairs of the world right now would be a good indication by algorithms developed by Google, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Yeah, and again, it comes back to who is in control of these algorithms. Like, who is making these calls? Who said it was okay for George Washington to be portrayed as black? Like, how woke and how progressive, quote unquote, progressive do you have to be to actually alter the reality of history? And it's wild to me. Again, people with no history is like a tree with no roots.
I wonder how much money has Google put into AI themselves too, because they already, run the main search engine, right?
All of what I was
Yahoo
mentioning
could have bought Google for $1 million in 1998 and said, "No, we'll pass. We're good."
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, I was digging into it the other day, but the CIA funded a big part of Google and got Google off the ground. So the CIA is intertwined fundamentally with Google, and
there's some theories too with Facebook and that as well.
Yeah. Well, this is not theory. This is actually proven fact that the CIA was directly involved, and they wanted to use it to sort of subvert different countries and overturn governments just by using
political influence or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So, and same with Facebook, probably. Oh, Phil, we can't
look at what do they both have in them too? The two O's.
The two O's. They're always looking, huh? Always staring at you, just watching what you're doing. Yeah, 63% left bias in the news and on these platforms. Yeah, totally. And I consider myself a lefty, but like for what's happening with the left is like so far beyond. Like it's interesting that like I don't know, during like George Bush era, during the Iraq War, I remember being liberal and being on the left meant like we were anti-war and we were anti-corporate, corporate fucking corruption and corrupt. Like, and now it seems like the extreme left is like, let's fucking from the what is it, from the ocean? What is it, from the oh god damn it, what's the thing they say about Israel? Like you have all these super extreme leftists who are like okay with an entire wiping out Israel. You have people who are okay with, you know, Ukraine fighting this war that's like untenable for them. Like they of course like Russia is a superpower, bro. Like and Ukraine was just this small little corrupt country. So the only way that Ukraine is going to win is our money and if NATO comes in and stuff. So like all of a sudden now we're rallying for violence and we're supporting these corporations such as Pfizer.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Oh,
Fuck you.
thank
Pay
you,
me.
Pfizer. Thank you, Pfizer. Like during the pandemic when everybody was sucking Pfizer's dick, like what the fuck? And this is completely embedded in the ruling class. It's embedded into the social media. It's embedded into the tech industry. This ideology, which is so far just crazy to the left. Like what the fuck is that? Like how do we even circumvent that? I mean, I don't fucking know. Dems were only anti-war because Republicans were in power at the time to take the independent vote. Yeah, I suppose when I talk about back then in the Iraq war, it was that, you know, I was a Democrat, definitely, but I was also considered myself liberal and always sort of saw the uniparty, right? I've always seen I've always realized that it's an illusion of choice when you have a fucking a giant douche and a fucking turd sandwich, right? Like,
Yeah, South Park got it right, huh?
it's like we know it's two sides of the same coin, or is it the same side, two coins? I don't know. We know that it's bullshit. It's just an illusion of choice. And so like to me, I've always sort of seen myself as liberal and left rather than Democrat, although I've always voted Democrat. So I don't know, like in this world right now, I don't know what to believe. I don't know what's real. I don't know any of these people have good intentions or if they're just trying to gain power and authority. Like it's hard for me to discern, and I believe it's intentional.
Yeah, I hear you. I think at the end of the day too, we're all born as anarchists. You know, we come out alone, we leave alone. Like you might sign a birth certificate that gives your money and life to the United States government while you're here, or whatever. But like at the end of the day, it was really interesting actually. Whose book I kind of read something on that really resonated with me, and it's called Jerry on Jerry, and it's some of these lost interviews that somebody did with Jerry Garcia,
Oh,
and he was always, you know, looked to as the leader, even though he didn't want to be. And he understood the influence that the band and the Dead had at the time. And it was him that always, you know, some people call it apathetic, but like he did not let anyone else voice their opinions. And everyone knew a lot of them leaned left as well, too, you know, being liberals from San Francisco, California or whatever. But they put their, you know, they did actions, man. Like they had AIDS benefit concerts and like, you know, for saving the rainforest, things that they're doing on their own, not like through, you know, the threat of violence against people for tax money. I mean, it's really good to be generous with other people's money. You know, it's really easy to spend it, no matter how righteous you might think the cause is at the end of the day, when it's like, you know, taking money as taxes, or it's like it's just crazy, man. Honestly,
well, yeah, and
like
now you
the
see
illusion of it all, man.
now you see Taylor Swift is fucking a psyop for the left, and
Well, dude, and I mean, even Mike, you go with the sports gambling, dude. Like, I was huge into sports growing up. Like, I played hockey, football, tennis. I was a great swimmer. I just quit when I was in 7th grade. I would have been a D1 swimmer if I stuck with it. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. My youngest brother, David, swam at Xavier for a year or two, but it's wild how it's all intertwined now too. Like, they said that the sports betting's over $1 trillion industry already. It's only been around for like 3 or 4 years widespread, where like, you know, anybody can do it on an app. Like you used to have to go to Vegas, or you used to have to go to Atlantic City, or it was a very select few places, unless you had a bookie or whatever. Like it was not widespread like this. So it's insane too, the amount of money getting thrown around with all that stuff too. And you think about, you know, the influence that athletes and other people have. I mean, this is what's mind blowing too about it all, is that, you know, the NFL is literally formatted as the WWE. they are legally allowed to fix games. It is it's
Really?
in the public for everybody to see and open.
Wow.
And it's someone like, I'll be a Cleveland Browns fan for the rest of my life. But like at the end of the day, I don't care, no, because it's like they're gonna just have who wins who they want to probably. Like it's to that point now. And you figure into AI and some of the stuff too, with like refs or probability of calls, and you got all this money, and you know there was gambling origins in the start of that league too. It's just I think it's all tied together too, though. You know, we're just talking about the matrix and the illusion of choice, and
well,
mass energy harvesting. You think how many people, if they focus all their time, they follow their favorite sports teams on something positive in their life, or how to make other people around them better, or you know, uplift other people. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, you're hitting on something really huge there, is that anytime there's a lot of money to be made, there's always going to be some sort of corruption that follows. And there's this whole theory, this conspiracy theory about Taylor Swift and her intervention in dating Travis Kelce, and how that raised the viewership of the NFL. And this
They said the NFL and the Chiefs on a low end probably gained anywhere from like 350 to 500 million like dollars of like more, you know, jerseys, viewership, talking $500 million, one person just, you know, through not even playing in the games,
just
like
sitting there taking up airtime.
It's kind of crazy to think about.
It's fucked up, and that's why people are like, Taylor Swift is a psyop. And now that she's garnered, like, because last year Taylor Swift was like the highest paid, and like she made the most money, and she's very influential, and so now they're just like, oh well, let's pair him up with Kelce, make sure that they
Mr. Pfizer.
Yeah, Mr. Pfizer himself, and then fucking, you know, like together they'll win the Super Bowl, and then they'll be so lifted high into the public's consciousness is that the people will sort of follow them wherever, and now they're sort of waiting for Taylor Swift to come out with an endorsement for Biden, because and fucking Joe Biden with this dark brand and shit, like right after that night of the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, just how we planned it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mockery.
It's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, is it them just having fun
Pure
with it?
Mockery.
Is it them having fun with it, or is it them just being like, fuck it, we're just gonna put it out there, who cares? And people will just say, oh, these fucking conspiracy theorists, blah 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 blah. But I don't know, like the idea
they're slowly becoming conspiracy facts, though. It seems like, Mike.
Yeah, give it 6 months.
So.
Give it 6 months and it'll be facts, right? Like that's I forgot who said that. It's like conspiracy theories are become facts within 6 months or some shit.
Going back to just like for people who are out there that are into sports or watch the NFL, I've watched college football and the NFL religiously for decades. So like when you see certain calls being made at certain times too that can like directly influence game, it's tough to not believe your own eyes. You know what I mean? And the last few years with this legal gambling stuff, it's nuts, man. They said like this, so the Chiefs have won 3 Super Bowls now. You know, and football fans would say like holding probably happens almost every play. Like if the refs want to choose to call a holding penalty, they probably could. Do you know how many holding calls the Chiefs had in these 3 Super Bowls they won?
I don't know.
0.
Ah, makes sense.
It's unheard of. It doesn't happen.
But wait a second. What about that new rule that came into play for this last season, where a field goal doesn't count as a win on overtime?
Oh yeah, and supposedly though the head coach of a team, when you're paid that much money to be a head coach, you don't know the rules. They said they came out. They said the San Francisco coach didn't know the rules, none of the players did.
Wait a second.
I'm not buying that.
No,
dude.
Yeah, because they clearly won with that field goal in overtime, but they said it has to go back to the other team to have a chance to score or something. I don't know what it is, but
if they would have scored a touchdown first, I think it might have been over. But when you don't score a touchdown first, the other team gets to match it, and it's a rule that just got changed in the last year or two for the playoffs specifically.
Like, what the fuck
but
is
as a head coach, if you're making multi-million-dollar a year, how do you not know the rules?
That's so stupid. Yeah, it's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. And I'm not a sports guy at all, but like I definitely am a conspiracy guy. The system is designed to.
I'm a truther at the end of the day, man. It's so hard to decipher.
I'm a fucking birther. Where's the birth certificate, Obama?
Computers, man.
The system is designed to make you poor, divide you by race, religion, reality. It's designed to keep you
This
uninformed.
is very true.
It's designed to keep
It's
you
easy to
informed
get
with
caught
false
up and
ideas.
sucked up in it sometimes. We all
I
do it
hate
too
it.
much.
I hate
I
it.
do too, man.
I fucking hate it. Like there's this article that just came out the other day. Well, this lady who tweeted the night of the Super Bowl, which it's so divisive. Like, why would you ever fucking write this? But she was saying, I'm trying to find it. Hold on. God damn it. Where is it? Oh, yeah. Here it is. So this is what she wrote. So professor says being a Taylor Swift fan is slightly racist and attacks Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl win. Why, how? And she won't elaborate. It's California professor, of course, California, caused a stir by claiming that it's slightly racist to be a Taylor Swift fan right now, as well as taking aim at Kansas City Chiefs. Melina Abdullah has gotten attention for similar opinions in the past, and she describes herself on X as a Black Lives organizer, Pan-Africanist, Africanist, hip-hop scholar, daughter of God, womanist, truth teller mama. Okay. On Super Bowl Sunday, Abdullah decided to tweet, "Why do I feel like it's slightly racist to be a Taylor Swift fan?" Why? I don't know. Will you tell me? When someone asked her to elaborate on her opinion, she replied, "I said feel, not think. Kind of like feeling, like the feeling that I get when there are too many American flags." Like these are the voices that are being uplifted, right? Like these are the people who the media is giving attention to. In the same post, someone commented that literally everything is racist. Abdullah then responded, "Indeed. A racist Super Bowl victory." A few hours later, she took to X again after the Kansas City Chiefs had won the game. "Why do I feel like this is some right-wing white supremacist conspiracy? Boo! Hashtag Super Bowl. Folks think they're attacking me by asking me why I think everything is racist. I'm not offended. Virtually everything is racist," she wrote in another post addressing the attention she received from her previous post. What are you, and this is what is being uplifted. This is what's trending on X, or now that Musk took it over, there is a little bit more of a opinion on there that's a wider range of opinion. Abdullah seems unwilling to expand on her thoughts that have left many people confused. She has been very firm in her opinions before when it comes to behavior of white people. It was a backlash in 2022 where she claimed that white people should not attempt to celebrate Juneteenth. Attention, white people, please don't ask if you can come to the cookout. Juneteenth is Freedom Day for black folks, she posted on Twitter. It should be Reparations Day for white folks. And this person is, she is fucking, these are the people who get fucking uplifted. These are the people who Kamala Harris love, right? And this is her. Who fucking, like, what are you trying to do here? Why is that most of these media companies, social media companies, and even our government pushing this idea that white people are the evilest thing ever, and that black people, that we should lower our expectations and let black people fucking not take tests because math is racist, and like people of color should be treated a different way than other people. Why are we doing this? Why are we pushing this narrative when most people just want to live their lives? Most people just want to fucking they love their neighbor, and they have nothing against black people or white or Mexicans or whatever. And yet this narrative gets pushed constantly, and it is created a division. And you see the youth who is confused, and they don't even know why they're marching half the time. They're just, someone give me the sign. Like, why do you think that narrative is being pushed?
I don't know. I mean, I think that there's been an element of cultural Marxism going on in this country and our institutions since probably the 50s or 60s. I just think it's been sped up a lot the couple of decades. Because, like, you go back to, Mike, like even this whole drag show thing, like the last couple of years, like the response when you say, "Hey, we don't think this should be in schools," and people are like, "What are you saying? We want to ban drag shows?" And it's like, nobody said that. But why do you want a children audience?
Yeah, and
no one's saying free speech, gather. it's a form of art, whatever. But like, why is that? You know what I mean? That response to it is really interesting.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
like you said, where is the funding coming to push some of these narratives? Or a lot of it too is related to free speech and other things. Where like certain opinion, what we were talking about with AI, like thought police, like it almost comes
Mhm.
back to that. It's like a full circle.
Absolutely. 2 + 2 = 5, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, you will say it, you will admit it, or else you'll be cast out as a, ist, some sort of racist or anti-vaccine person or whatever it is, transphobic or whatever
Yeah, like you said,
whatever it
all
is, man.
all divisional stuff. They love that crap.
She sounds like a racist herself, and no one has called her out on it. Yeah, well, no, she is definitely racist. But oh wait, people of color can't be racist because they're not in a position of power. What the fuck are you talking about? There are so many countries around the world that are ran by brown people. Are you saying that they can't be racist, even though they have tons of people under their fucking thumb in these crazy regimes? Like, get fucking real. Like, I know fucking Mexicans in my family who fucking do not like the Jews. Okay, they think the Jews are the devil, and it's like, whoa, when did that happen? Like, so it's like, or they don't like Asians or something. Like, it's just so strange to me that they think that people
It's
that
way too much division too, Mike. Because
that's exactly what it
I
is.
don't think this was going on a decade ago or 15 years ago. I feel like you
No.
said, it's kind of been more highlighted by the media in general, and it's from like all different aspects of it, man. And it's honestly sad and concerning at times. Like, especially just, that's what I love so much about like music, is because it's the one thing that unites everybody,
Mm.
regardless of where you come from, what color you are, your social class, your economic status, if you were a widow, you grew up with no parents, or whatever the case was. Like, music is the one healer and the constant that is there to, give a community too, for people that don't have a community at times. Like, I don't know. It's powerful stuff. And then you think too, like with AI and everything else like that, will events be affected like long term, or how could they maybe be affected? Would it be more like with DJ related stuff, with people, are they creating their own art? Are they spinning live on the spot, or are they taking it to the next level of like AI? You know what I mean? Because it's like electronic music always kind of has that, vibe, not vibe, but I don't want to misspeak or misinterpret something. But it's super interesting to where, back in the day, 20 years ago, what a DJ would do, or let's say back before you moved to San Diego,
Mm.
the kid, a DJ wouldn't show up with just a flash drive. Like, that wasn't a thing. Now it's like that's been a thing for 10 years. You know what I mean? But it's like with the AI too, it's like, what what direction is it going to go?
Right, and like how much of it is just gonna be a text to music fucking prompt that they just did 10 minutes before they got on stage, and they're just like, yeah, that's my music now, and fuck it, let's go. I mean, DJs already get called button pushers, right? And I think the real
Yeah,
talent
and
behind
it's not fair to a lot of them,
it's
because
not,
there are
it's
a
not
lot of hard workers out there,
exactly,
and they
because
have a
what goes
great
on in the
taste in music.
background,
It's
they
a skill, man. It's for
exactly.
sure. I mean,
Exactly. Mixing is a skill. Making the music itself, they have to go and make the music in order to, put it out on their laptop. But there is a lot of people who just show up with their fucking laptop and they just put play, and there's an auto mix, and they'll just put their hands up, and they'll act like they're fucking with buttons
right.
and shit, but it's all just this already made up fucking set that they've been doing for the last fucking 10 years or whatever. And that to me is bitch shit. So I don't know where it's gonna go, man. But I'm glad that there's people in the world like you, Andrew, who are supporting and bringing live music to the people, and is going to
Absolutely,
continue,
man.
man. I really
Appreciate
appreciate
guys
it.
like you too, giving a platform for, all different walks of life of us to come on here, chop it up, promote our stuff, and dive down some other rabbit holes that other people may not want to have conversation of in today's. It's strange times all around, man. You never know who you're talking to, or who might, like you said, some of these people that get platforms and the sentiment out there, certain things, and that, I don't know. It's just, it's strange times, man. But like I said, I think that makes it that much more important to continue to give give back to the community and have these events available for people that breaks down that. You know what I mean? That's all about, the magic of a festival. You never know who you're going to meet there, but it's that little healthy escape for a little while where you get the positive vibrations and uplift yourself. And hey, on another note too, what we have going on at the Solar Express Festival on Monday, April 8th, because that is free to the public. This total solar eclipse is going to happen around 3:15 p.m. But we do have a very special tribute set that Jake Paluski and John Roth are both going to trade off doing. It's Andrew Ellis, who recently passed away.
I meant to bring him up. Oh my god, that hit me so fucking hard, dude.
He showed everybody. It doesn't matter if you're from Toledo, you can get out there, be a full-time artist, tour. I mean, he used to go to Europe and tour all the time, and he always was there to have a conversation with anyone that wanted to have a conversation with, and inspire the next generation of musicians. And he really believed in what we were doing out there at Wayne's too. He played the 3rd annual Sacred Harvest Fest in 2019. I think he just got back from a European tour, but he was really, really an icon around here, as most people know, not just with music, but he's an incredible artist too, different paint and all the other stuff that he did. So our hearts go out to his, family and children in this difficult time. I'm hoping that they might be able to make it out to Monday. We did extend the invitation to some of his family, so I'm really hoping that they can come out and see some of Andrew's close friends, keep his music alive. I think it's going to be a really, really awesome, powerful set for people, because we did originally have Andrew on the lineup.
That's right, you did.
I'm Andrew Michael Price, and he was Andrew Michael Ellis, so we actually have the exact same first and last name. So wow. I think it's just the least that I could do and honor him. He really, there's not many people that have their own weekly residency at the Village Idiot, and how many years he did that for, and it's just incredible, all the different lives and people that he touched. So we just want to make sure he's honored the best way that we possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. And Andrew Ellis was an icon here in Toledo, and wherever he went, people fucking revered him. Everybody, make sure you go. I'm gonna drop this in the chat. Make sure y'all follow.
Yeah, tickets are on sale on Eventbrite for the Solar Express. I'm gonna give a shout out to the Head Shed, our longtime sponsor. They got the main stage named after him for the Solar Express, and they've been with us at Sacred Harvest since year 2. So if you guys in the Toledo area, Northwest Ohio, shop at local head shops, go support the Head Shed. They always got some great deals going on and really awesome staff.
Absolutely. Fucking support local always. And dude, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on the show again. I had such a great time chatting with you. And
yeah, absolutely, man. We'll have to do it again, maybe in like 6 or 8 months. Not as long as in between. I had a lot of fun, man. I'm a talker, so this is great to get on and chop it up with you.
And we'll talk offline about possibly setting up like a podcast booth over at the Poets.
I would love that, man. I really would. Let's get we could do some kind of hybrid sponsor deal. We trade off,
Sweet,
get you
for
over
man.
here and get some promotion going. Or yeah, absolutely, man. I would love to do that. I think it'd be great too to just pick a musician or two out. I mean, we might be able to get one of the Magic Bean guys on the podcast too. They're awesome. They're about to blow up huge. Schwartz, who is the manager of Southern Avenue. He does the Fish show on XM radio every night.
No.
He's huge when it comes to managing bands, and the Beans actually just got included with him. So
sick.
They're gonna go places real quick. They had an incredible couple shows on Jam Cruise this week, and don't miss out on seeing them in Toledo while you can, guys.
Boom!
They're only Ohio date this spring on their tour.
Let's go, Andrew. Thank you so much, everybody. Please give a round of applause to our guest today, Andrew from Frogtown Grass Roots. Let's let him hear it, baby. Let's go! Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate you, my friend.
Right on, brother.
Have a good night. Yeah. There goes Andrew, yeah. There goes Andrew, yeah. There goes Andrew, there he goes. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. All right. Thank you so much to Andrew from Frogtown Grass